open session, excuse me.
We're going to get the guy that was online back online.
What'd you say his name was?
Chris.
Chris, okay.
He's one.
He's sending him a text right now.
Okay.
Oh.
Number 8, discussion and possible action on closed session item. There is none. Number 9, discussion and possible action on fund balance expenditures.
Okay, fund balance. We have our fund balance policy says we should maintain 25 to 33% of our budget. Right now we're running at a little over 32%. We have $1,287,000 in there, of which $30,000 needs to come out of yet because we used fund balance to offset this year's levy a little bit. So we're hanging right at 32%. So we're on the high end of where we should be. We have 57.5 left in capital. That is pretty well spoken for the remainder of this year. And then we do also have that CD. So we sold the other ladder truck, 4 years ago, maybe now, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we put that money into a CD with the intention of using it to purchase an ambulance, but we had enough money in our CIP, so we didn't use it to purchase the ambulance. It's still sitting in the CD.
There is no more CIP fund balance. Your 5,000 or 5,700 is it.
Yeah, right.
That $200,000 CD is part of the general fund.
Oh, you have it wrapped into that number?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is no separate.
Okay, so it's just the fund balance for $1,287,000 and then the CIP for 57.5.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize you had that in the separate or in the same number. So I don't know if we want to do anything with that. We said we're going to bring that back this month to review. It's technically within our range. It's just on the high end of our range. Just looking for a little direction on what the board wants to do with the fund balance moving forward.
You want to talk about?
So 25 to 30 is the normal range?
We'll talk about why we brought it back.
Well, the concern is that potentially it's negatively affecting us on grants.
Okay.
Because we apply for grants, and it depends on the grant, but especially the larger federal type or state grants, they ask for all your financials, and one of them is your fund balance, and what you have in reserves is what they'll usually ask for. And when we tell them, we basically have $1.3 million in the bank.
They're going, what are you asking us for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you need.
Okay.
So the fund balance policy was developed because if you look at some of our organizations like GFOA and Wisconsin GFOA, a lot of the recommendations are to keep that much in fund balance. That's really targeted towards municipalities more. We need to be able to pay so many months worth of payroll. Say the state has a shutdown, and we don't get any more state payments or shared revenues or transportation aid doesn't come in. That's what we use to pay salaries and stuff, keep the village going. So if something like that would just shut down, we get nothing. We need to have that money in the bank, so 2 to 3 months worth of money in the bank to be able to pay for ongoing operations.
Yeah.
So that same philosophy was taken to SAFER. When Everest Metro was towards the end, some people question, well, the city of Scoville, Town of Weston, Village of Weston already have a certain percentage of those expenditures in our fund balance. So it'd be the same as Village of Red Mountain and Village of Weston have in our fund balance a percentage of SAFER's expenditures already in there in case we need to help fund them. So depending upon your philosophy and how you want to look at SAFER, it would make sense to limit the fund balance in SAFER if you only want like a month and a half. We want to make sure we have some in there so we can pay the first few payrolls. The expenditures in January are pretty significant because you have the insurances are due. There's a lot of one-time big expenditures due at the beginning of the year to pay for the rest of the year. So that's one of the things we talked about at our finance meetings that we meet monthly, is do we want to look at changing that? Do their philosophy want to change? And so that's why we brought it up to the board to see what your thoughts are on those philosophies and if we want to adjust the fund balance. We talked about we don't want to spend it on operations. You don't want to do that. But what we could do is shift a chunk of money over to capital and spend on one-time expenditures.
Okay. So where does the optics look the best for federal grants? 25? Just not 32?
I don't know that there is a
Yeah.
Okay.
great number for federal grants. I think there are probably a lot of departments that we're up against, for lack of a better word, when we apply to these things that probably either have no fund balance or an extremely minimal fund balance. But I don't know that there's a certain number out there that they really look for.
When's the last time something like that has happened, where this, we couldn't do payroll? Is
It
it-
has never happened.
Because I've never heard of it.
We won't say that because remember when the village and Safer were sharing money back in the day, where that was at startup.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
Not sharing money, but the village
Yeah.
would front, so
Right.
the Safer could pay payroll.
Yeah. Okay.
So, just to recap, the fund balance is like your 6-month savings, 2-month savings that households are supposed to have. But we kind of already have that in the village, so maybe we don't need as much of that now.
Yes, it's the philosophy that the board wants to. You want to look at it that way. That's the way I would encourage it. We don't,
So are we manipulating it to be at 32%, or, that a little bit over 30? Are we doing that, manually to get that to be there?
No, it's come from a couple different reasons. We've been under on expenditures for the past 2 or 3 years, and then we had 1 year in particular where we had a significant increase in revenue. So we brought in a lot extra revenue, and it doesn't take much for our ambulance revenue is budgeted at 1.5 million. It doesn't take much for that to shift by $100,000 one way or the other. And when you get a couple years of that, and then you have some other outside things that happen, it doesn't take much to move that
And
number
the
around.
collections on that are pretty consistent right now?
Yeah, I would say they are. I'm going to talk a little bit about that when I do my chief's report, but the short answer is yes.
Yes,
it
okay.
is.
Okay.
And would have to go to capital, doesn't go to, it's a one-time thing.
I
Right.
would,
Go to capital.
I would not recommend operations. That would be a bad idea.
So what are we talking about, that dollar amount, 78% of that 32?
How much is that?
What is that, to bring it down? What would we shift to capital?
You want to take it down to how much?
25, 24, is that comfortable?
I would do a month and a half.
So what's a month and a half?
Of expenditures, that would be 100. I mean, you would take it down $1 million.
Well, a month and a half of expenditures, I would say, is 270, 370, say $400,000.
So 400, so you're talking about taking this down 700,000.
I'd round it up to
Yeah,
be safe.
I
Five
agree.
on the month and a half of expenditures,
Yeah.
so 5, so 6, we'd pull 6 out.
You know what you could do
6, 7.
is do it by year, maybe have a gradual spend down, like this year transfer maybe 50 to 60,000 to capital, see how we do this year. Are we gonna be, we don't know to anticipate.
Oh, I
this
like
year.
that.
I like that idea
I like that
better.
a lot better. Yeah, more controlled. Yeah, take a look-see. Yeah,
Okay.
all right? Okay. Yeah, and then we can change it every year to what we feel comfortable with, yeah. Okay, so what's our answer there?
Did you have a specific use that you were kind of thinking around last
Um,
time? Or new gear?
Well, the one thing we did talk about was the tender. We wanted to purchase the additional tender to put over in Weston to help with the insurance costs, because a lot of people are experiencing pretty significant insurances and increases in homeowners insurance after the last ISO rating, but without the additional staff, we can't staff the truck anyway. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to purchase. So I would say no, nothing specifically right now.
Well, the other thing we talked about was a FEMA grant and gear, if we wanted to do that, because
Yeah,
we're
we-
not going to get the FEMA grant.
There is NFPA says every firefighter should have 2 sets of turnout gear. That's fairly rare. Some departments do it, but not many. So the other thought was to purchase a second set of turnout gear for everybody.
Does Melissa have it?
No,
Okay, Riverside?
no.
Any of the competing ones, Point or Marshall or Rapids?
Did Marshfield have it?
Someone does. I think Rapids does.
Merrill?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't know. I would have to ask.
Do we have to have a specific plan now for that money?
Merrill will have it. I don't know. They don't. Wages. Yeah, wages, right.
The thing with the second set of gear, it's just so like Wassa, I mean, if you catch multiple fires in a day, you're either putting on wet gear, frozen gear, or you're putting on soot-covered, cancer-causing gear, because it should be washed right after the fire. That's why NFPA says that everyone should have 2 sets. So after a fire, you can put your gear and wash right away. While it's washing and drying, you have a second set to wear. It's just, it's very difficult to afford that. Most departments can't. On the back end, though, there has been some talk the last 3 or 4 years about NFPA adopting OSHA standards. And if NFPA adopts OSHA standards and the state adopts that, OSHA dictates that you have to have 2 sets of gear, and then it would become law. And then we would have to do it.
What kind of expenditure is another set of turnout gear?
About $3,000 per person.
We figure it's right around 175 grand to buy everybody a second set of gear. Ish.
Then long term, we got to remember that we would have to double our replacement cost
Yeah.
then for gear going down the road. And right now, we spend approximately $20,000 a year on replacement gear. So we'd have to basically make that $40,000 a year.
And that's just jackets and coats. We figure boots, you just clean them. Helmets, you clean them. Everybody already has 2 hoods. Hoods are what they wear underneath their helmet, and that there's a lot of skin cancer. So we got everybody 2 hoods through a grant. And then gloves, we almost have 2 pair of gloves for everybody through grants, but those were FFP grants, which have been more or less defunded. It was a $3.5 million grant every year. It's going to a $500,000 grant every year, because $3 million of it was federal, and they got rid of that. So it's going to be really difficult to get those grants moving forward.
And just so the board knows, gear ages out, basically. It's got a 10-year lifespan. It doesn't matter if you're Hatley Fire Department or FDNY, they say your gear lasts 10 years.
Regardless of use?
Regardless of use.
Wow.
I will say that I was involved in an incident where I kind of thought that they just want to sell more gear. But when I taught a lot, I was involved in an incident where we were in a live fire scenario, and I was right next to a student, and I didn't even feel, I mean, it was warm, but it certainly didn't feel hot in the fire, and we were literally this close to each other, and he got burned. His gear was expired for 4 years. So maybe there is something to it, I guess. That changed my mind a little bit of maybe there is a reason.
Yeah.
But so we stick pretty tight to the 10 years. We'll push it maybe an extra year if we're close on budgets for 1 year to the next, but otherwise we make sure everybody's got gear. That's
Do
what
you have
they
any kind
pay.
of rotation on that, or is it strictly everybody at the same time?
No, there's a rotation.
Yeah,
we buy a few sets every
So
year.
20 every
We buy,
Yeah.
we buy
Usually
4 or 5 sets a year,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, it's between 5 and 7 sets a year.
That's the hard part. If you spend or get a grant and you buy 50 sets of gear for 200 grand, now in 10 years, you got to buy another 50 sets of gear because it all ages out at the same exact time. That's the hard part about even getting like a FEMA grant to do that, because you got to have a plan for 10 years. When I started Marshfield, they got a FEMA grant, and then 10 years later, they were looking at how do we buy everybody brand new gear.
Well, the original ask was, what do we intend on doing with this? So, I don't know, not often do we, as a board, help decide that. You kind of decide that if it's out of the realm where you need some approval, then you get it. But you're managing this department, so would everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
If we pull 50 or 60,000 out? Yeah.
But we want to kind of sit on it for now and see how the year goes.
Right,
That's
that's fine.
what we're
Yeah.
thinking,
For
right?
our,
Let's
like
do it.
Jess's
Yeah.
idea, was
Okay.
not pulling out like a
That's
huge
fine, let's
portion.
do that.
Yep.
More incrementally and see how it goes.
Okay.
Okay.
9, everybody done there? No possible action? So 10, discussion on recent staffing changes.
So because we've had a fair amount of changes over the last, it feels like every board meeting, and I think we're finally done now. I just wanted to kind of do a recap because some of these positions were more management positions. So Battalion Chief Mark Myers left in February? March. He took a job with Stevens Point Fire Department. We went through a process then to replace his position. Captain Glenn Novak was promoted from captain to battalion chief. So then we had an open captain position. We held another hiring process. Engineer Jake Kolb was promoted from engineer to captain. And then we already had a list for that engineer position from a previous hiring practice we did a few months ago. So our next candidate on there was Chad Allen. So Chad is now an engineer, which means we have an open firefighter position. And we had a list for that also, and we offered a job to Thijs Volkovan.
That is his name.
And he is undergoing psychological and physical testing right now. We're waiting on the results for that. So multiple steps up, multiple different processes because of that one position, which isn't all that abnormal. But hopefully, as long as Thijs does well with everything, he will be on board in June. So,
Was Ty with us part-time
No.
before? Okay.
well, he went through a process when we hired firefighters last time, and he was maintained on the list from that process, and that was several months ago.
Yeah, we did that process like October, November, and we kept a list. That was for the 3 positions we added in January.
Do you feel you have a good pulse on, people that want to move up, but aren't moving up fast enough?
Yes.
So you feel like you know the ones that are maybe looking for an opening somewhere else? A quicker flight up?
Yeah, I would say that's a somewhat common
I'm sure
thing
that's
in the.
constantly.
It's a somewhat common thing. I mean, most people want to promote. Some people want to, they get to. I worked with a couple guys that were engineers, and I said, "Hey, there's a lieutenant job coming up. You can apply." He's like, "Why would I want to do that? This job's awesome." Some guys want to be in the role that they're at. I worked with a guy when I was in Chippewa Falls. He said, "My biggest job for the day is to clean the truck and drive the big red truck around. Doesn't get any better than that." He didn't want to promote. But other people do. And I would say we've had some people, and I think it's a common thing now, is that people want to spend a year or two and then they want to be promoted, and spend a year or two and then they want to be promoted. So we do get some people that, I think if they feel like they don't get promoted almost immediately, they start looking for different jobs.
Well, chasing a career or position change or a promotion or money is a big deal. And it takes a long time in someone's life to realize that that's not always the answer.
Right.
Being happy and being content and enjoying your off time and your family is huge, so. But we don't learn that quick enough, so.
I think we're sitting pretty good now, though, and Eric and I and the battalion chiefs and the captains and basically everybody knows that one of the biggest things I've tried to do the last several months is just a lot of training for people to move up to that next step.
Good.
Um,
So you're getting that opportunity there. It's a
Yeah,
good-
like we had,
Yeah.
one of our battalion chiefs was on light duty, like we talked a little bit about earlier. Normally Eric runs all the hiring processes. Well, he was on light duty doing computer work, and I said, guess who's going to run this hiring process?
Yeah.
So he did it.
Good.
I helped him a lot. We ran it.
So it just, we're trying to get some people, some of those
Yeah.
experiences so they're able to move into those positions.
Okay.
But I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on kind of where we're at as far as staffing. So once Ty starts, we'll be back to full staffing. We haven't been for several months.
Well, good.
We did post for part-time, so we're going to be interviewing for part-time at the end of May, probably.
Part-time.
Got some applicants?
Yep.
Yeah, we have a ton of
Firefighters.
applicants.
Part-time,
We
okay.
have a ton of applicants right now.
Great.
I don't know how qualified they are. I mean, and we're only going to be able to hire maybe 5, maybe. We'll see what the applicants are just because we don't have enough gear for them.
Okay. All right, 11, end of month budget review.
So the budget is in the packet. I'll just do a quick recap. And I mentioned at the last board meeting that we were running over budget on expenditures, especially it's really only related to wages. The bad news is we're still running over budget on wages. The good news is we're trending in the right direction. We had multiple people on light duty, so we were basically paying for extra positions for the first quarter of this year. Those are all done now. Everybody's back to full duty. So hopefully that'll kind of get things back under control here. And we'll have a couple months where we got one less person on health insurance, so that'll help offset that a little bit. But when I trended it out this past time, we're not as much over budget as we were when I ran it last time. So
Okay.
fuel's going to be tight because of fuel costs. I don't think fuel costs are going to stay this high the entire year. But if I knew that for sure, I would probably be somewhere on a TV show.
At a certain spot where we always fill up.
We have WEX cards. Is that governmental only share? Do you know, or is it it's
kind of, yeah.
It's like a fleet gas card.
Okay.
But you can use them almost anywhere. But I think 99% of the time the guys go to Quick Trip.
Does that give us like an extra benefit?
Yeah.
It's a little more than.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had. What was the name of the card we had before WEX? Do you remember?
Fuel man.
Fuel Man.
Fuel man.
WEX is much better.
What is the staff, what is Weston on? Wax. And what is Mountain Bait, same? 'Cause I know-
So it
I
doesn't
think
really
they're
matter
quick
where
check.
they fuel up, it's gonna be the same price across the board, or no?
No.
It's going to be based on that gas station's price, but we get a discount somehow through WEX.
Some of the times there is a discount, some of the times there is not.
The stations negotiate with WEX,
Got it, okay.
but
I'm
they
just
do it on
thinking,
a statewide.
on a statewide, I'm just thinking when I wanna fuel up, I look on Gas Buddy and find out if Krista's 20 cents cheaper, I go there versus somewhere else.
Yeah, for the most part,
Anything like that.
I would say 98% of our fuel comes from Quick Trip on Barbican and Quick Trip in Rip Mountain here. This station almost always fills up there, and the station in Weston, because they are getting off the highway or coming back from the hospital, going back to the stations, they're driving past there. That's where they get their fuel.
And you're always topping off
Yep.
when you park. Yep.
And then the other thing, they have the, truck, semi-truck access. So when you're pulling in a fire truck, you can't just pull up to the pump.
Right, makes sense.
So they have the bigger diesel pumps that accommodate the fire engine, so.
Okay. And consistent bathrooms and snacks and whatever.
They do like the snacks.
They do like the snacks.
Okay, all right. Any more on the budget review? Anybody? No? Any attorney referrals?
No.
Okay. Staff reports. Fire chief, you want to go first?
Sure. So I kind of went through budget already. There was what did I say? Oh, revenue. So revenue for January, February, March were lower than we had hoped for. They were all in the mid to upper 80s. We shoot for $120,000 a month. That's our goal. And they all fell in the mid to upper 80s. The good news is that I just got the April report back, and it was 144,000. So we had a nice uptick, and I don't think it's going to continue to be 144,000, but we should see it higher now. That first quarter of the year is always low, so I'm hoping that it'll continue to trend a little bit higher so we can get caught back up and stay on track. Even if we come in a little bit low, we do have the music festival starting here in about a month.
Or where?
Cadot, yep. So we signed a contract with them for $40,000 this year.
That was an increase versus last year before.
Last
Right.
5 years, yeah.
And when I did the budget this year, I did not budget that as revenue because at that time we did not have a contract yet. So that'll be at $40,000 of revenue that was not budgeted for. So that is a good thing. Other than that, we burned down a house. I'll let Eric talk about that a little bit. I was not there. And I think you're going to talk a little bit about the new charts.
Yes.
I think that's all I have.
Anything for the chief? Any questions? No? Good job. Thank you. Go ahead, Eric.
All right, my operations report is in there. You'll see there's a new chart, Fire District April activities. We're trying to show, it's difficult to show how busy we are, right? Because we're just running calls and what's a call. I mean, it's hard to say a call, between getting paged, responding, getting back, writing your report and everything. A call averages 2 hours, but it can be more than that. So we're trying to log the number of activities, right? So it's apples to apples. So the number of calls, the number of EMS calls, the number of fire calls, the number of inspections, training events, not training hours, but training events. We have training scheduled every day, but they don't train every day because of calls, whatever, right? So in a month, there's 30 days in a month. We schedule training 26 days. So there's only 4 days in a month we don't schedule on Sundays. So you can see in April we trained 16 times out of those 26. So 10 days there were calls or whatever. And then PR events so that we get a total activity count. I mean, we also report calls and responses, but we also there's other stuff that we do that people don't think about that they don't take into account. The training, the PR, the inspections, re-inspections, all those different things. So you're going to see that chart. So the blue line is April. The orange line is the 5-year average, which was very difficult to find for some of this because of the multiple platforms we've used over the last 5 years. And then the gray is the year to date. So the gray is going to keep growing, and the other lines will kind of stay the same, just so you can see where we're at for the year.
Just specifically on the inspections, we were, kind of not where we wanted to be a couple of years ago. Are we getting closer? Is Marty getting caught up?
No, Marty's at max capacity, and then we have Paul Reinschmidt, who works usually 1 8-hour day a week. Sometimes it's only 6 to go out and try to help keep up a little bit, and that has helped quite a bit.
Okay.
But no, Marty's always a little bit behind. We try to stay pretty current, but he tends to.
Well, I think he does a great job.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, good. Okay.
And he does more, I mean, that's the other thing. Marty does, like, in that inspection number, 278, that's more than just inspections and re-inspections. That's, he gets called for new sprinkler installs. He gets called for plan review. He goes to all the planning meetings for both municipalities, like that time isn't in this activity, like all our meetings aren't in there. He does complaints, so he takes a number of complaints. He just recently told me he got a complaint, what was it? Now I can't remember now.
We get them fairly frequently if there's a tenant that's upset about what their
Oh.
landlord is doing. They try
Yeah.
to get us involved to get their landlords in trouble. We get those calls
I remember
probably
what it was.
monthly.
Somebody wanted to put a bar in their basement, and they wanted to close 2 exit doors that they have to have, right? Because you gotta have exits, but they wanted to close them. It's like if you're following, like the state right now has legislation that they're trying to push through to eliminate. What is it? It's apartment complexes have to have 2 means of egress, and
Above
they want to
6
cut it
stories.
down to 1. And, there's people pushing that for different financial reasons, but for the fire department, when you go from 1 stairwell out of a building, or from 2 to 1, like, think about the World Trade Center and what it took to get 3,000 people out of that building, and now cut your exits in half, like, that doesn't make sense to us. But it was that kind of thing that Marty deals with that kind of stuff all the time. So we're trying to show that. This is my first run at that chart. If there's anything anybody can think of that I could add, I could add meetings to it to show, those are more activities that we have between staff meetings and the municipal meetings Josh and I and Marty go to. It's just the activities that we participate in. Other than that, personnel report, recapping what the chief has, our EMS responses. If you look at the EMS response graph on the next page, we were up from our 5-year and from last year and our 5-year average. Fire responses, I believe, are also up. If you look at that chart, yep, quite a bit up from the 5-year and last year average. Training hours are there. One thing that's not in the training is the paramedic class that's being run. If we added those hours in, that's 11 people times another, I don't know, a lot.
64 hours a month.
At least. That's not in there. New car 2 was put into service. You can see that right outside the window. So my car reached its 10-year lifespan. The car that we bought came in on budget. That looks like a big expensive truck, but with our discounts, that's a $38,000 truck.
Oh, wow.
There are 0 frills on the trucks that we buy. It is as base amount
Roll
as
up
you can
windows?
get.
Those actually cost more.
Those
than-
cost more
I
now.
know. I know.
But that's
You gotta roll up
a
windows, you pay more.
GMC Sierra 1500 Pro model, and you can go look at a Pro model like that. It's a $38,000
Did we pick it up
vehicle
from
with our
Nike?
discounts. Yeah.
Make it good.
The Ford, the comparative Ford was $42,000, which is why we are going GMC.
When you say 10 years, is that it's just budgeted at 10 years, we just automatically get a new one?
Yep.
Because the old one resale value? What if the 10-year, for whatever reason, is in really good condition?
Yeah, so there's a number of factors. We kind of beat on our vehicles. So after 10 years, there are a number of, we try to, like for my truck this year, we had to buy new radios because of the technology is so much different. The radios the chief has in his vehicle right now are radios that were bought off of eBay that were used. So his radios are 20-something years old. So there's a lot of stuff that we bring over. The command console that the chief has was in a previous vehicle that we reused, and that stuff just wears out. So we upgrade that, and then the value, also the resale value, and the discounts that we get. There's a lot of departments going to, they just lease, and they have a new vehicle constantly every 3 years because the discounts are so advantageous that you actually make out better leasing every 3 years and having that full warranty and everything than you do buying.
So like the old truck, this is the new truck, the old one, how much did it sell for?
We're keeping it.
So that particular one we're going to keep. We would have sold it, but with Callie being on board, she's responding quite a bit on EMS calls when she's available, and we don't have a vehicle for her to respond in. So we are keeping it.
We'll keep it, and hopefully it'll hold up for a while until it either starts to rust or becomes kind of a nickel and dime kind of thing. And then we would sell it
What
at
kind
that
of
point.
miles
It's
are
right
It's
at,
98,000.
it's right at
and some
100,000.
change.
That's also
Right at
a trade-in
100,000.
thing too, is, over 100,000 or over 75 or whatever too.
And
Our-
it does need some work. There's
Yeah.
some rust on it. There's some paint coming off of it. I mean, there is some work that we're going to have to put into it too.
Our trucks have a ton of idle time because they
Yeah.
idle at scenes for hours. So
Is it the same reason for the computers or no, like the cops? The cops have to leave them running, otherwise the computers go up and down all the time.
no, it's not. It's like usually for Eric and myself because we'll be at command at a fire, so we need our radios and everything
Okay.
powered up. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Fire prevention activities and then grants, like I said, the FEMA and AFG grants should be, or the AFG and the SAFER grants should be opening soon now that DHS has been refunded. We're waiting for that. The 25-26 FFP grant was finalized, so we got the materials for that. It was down, we were getting $20,000 grants. We got a $5,000 grant, so we get half of that.
I had a note to explain what that means.
It's,
I know what grant
yeah,
means,
it's
but
the,
like
it's the,
AFG, what a,
so FEMA, AFG is Assistance to Firefighters Grants, it's a federal
Okay.
grant. SAFER is Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response. We put in for a SAFER grant 2 years ago before we went to referendum. WASA got a SAFER grant in 2020 to fund their positions, and then they had to go to referendum to keep funding it. Usually it funds positions for 3 years in different ways. The AFG grant is just a one-time grant, so fire departments put in for everything from, like there's a part of that grant where you can put in for recruitment and retention, and they can put all the way in for multi-million-dollar fire trucks, depending on the department and the need. So, again, that grant we have been putting in for, we haven't gotten it the last 7 years at least, and we put in every year. We put in for radios.
Any idea why?
Because of our fund balance, I think. That's part of it. The other part of it, we were awarded a SAFER grant in 2019, and we turned it down. And that doesn't ever look good. So,
Are we gonna apply for SAFER again this year?
no.
Okay.
Because of the optics?
Well, because so if we haven't discussed applying for it, if we apply for it and we get it, right, it pays 100% year one, 66 year two, and there hasn't been any direction from the board. If we put in and then we get it, then we hire people. Can we fund them without a referendum that just failed, and how do you fund them? The last time we put in, we didn't get it, and I think partially because of our fund balance. And those grants, they are extreme amount of work. Like when I'm doing the AFG or the SAFER grant, basically that's all I'm doing for 2 or 3 weeks,
Yeah.
nonstop 8-hour days for the amount of data that it
FFP?
pulls.
The NFFP?
That's the
forest fire protection.
Forest fire protection.
Okay.
It's a DNR grant. And those are all wildland fire specific. So like you can't get anything with that grant. It's like Class A foam for wildland fire, like a UTV or like chaps and helmets and it's very limited what you can get. We've done really well with that grant though, and we've stretched it to get structural stuff that fits the wildland part. But we over the years have done very well with that grant.
And it said in their Walmart, that was,
Yeah, we're working on that one.
is that new?
No,
No, they
it's
made
out
that
there,
agreement,
but
you know.
there's a lot of rules with that one and like the chief was told they have a 5,000 and a 2,000, and they told us that we could get the 5,000, but now they're saying the 2,000, and some of these grants is just difficult to get. The subhouse, the firehouse subs
Firehouse
grant,
subs,
we
yeah.
did get. We have 95% of the items. We're just waiting on some helmets. As soon as we get all those items, we'll do a press release.
And that's the one where you have to buy it and they reimburse you.
Yeah, they do it. They
But, like,
do
it's
it
a
one
little
of two
different
ways. They decide at the last minute. They'll either give you the money and then you buy it, or they will buy it and donate you the stuff. They can do it either way. In our case, they gave us the money, and then we're buying it. Now, after we get it all, at some point, there's going to be an audit process where we're gonna have to supply
Show
all
what you
the
did, okay.
information, the audit information, that we actually purchase what they give us money for.
That's good.
The other thing, we burnt a house down on Whippoorwill. It was really good training. We did that this last Friday. I know there's a big black plume of smoke in the air, and there was more debris that came off that house than we anticipated. Naturally, the way those things go, we had about an 8-mile-an-hour west wind the entire day, and as soon as the house flashed and we went into final burn down, we had a 20-mile-an-hour wind. And it banked down the smoke kind of into the neighborhood to the east of Whippoorwill, and spread some ash. But we had crews out patrolling the different streets and stuff to make sure there weren't any problems or anything. But that was a successful house burn. We have another house over there to burn down for the racetrack that we are still trying to check into some information on with the power line that's there. Other than that, the last thing I would add, because two last things. The concurrent call data is there. We're still running. We're at 65 and 35% for the year. So, we're hugging really close to that 40% concurrent call rate. And then if you look at under our fire response, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's six structure fires, 2 grass fires, and 2 vehicle fires. And you can see on there Autoaid City of Wausau, Autoaid Riverside, Autoaid Mosinee, Mutual Aid Cronewetter, Autoaid Riverside. We are busy. Not all of those are fires that we went to. Some of those were canceled calls, but we were dispatched to all of them. And our fire response is just increasing. The fire on Grand Ave on 425, we sent a truck and an ambulance, and I went on duty, and we were on that scene about 5 hours. The fire on, we just had a fire recently here last week in the village of Weston on Jelnik. There was one other one in there that I was going to talk about. You were on the one on Camp Phillips. But yeah.
No fires attributed to the Ringgold tornado?
Nope.
No?
We were on that scene. We were on that scene for, how long were you there?
I was there 4 or 5 hours probably.
There's a
After action review.
after action review on Thursday that we'll be at. So, and with that, unless anybody has any questions, I conclude my report.
Any questions? Any more?
Can I add one
Sure.
quick thing? Eric mentioned the Jelnik fire. I was going to mention that. That went well on Friday morning. Guys did a nice job. Knocked it down, kept it. It was a duplex. They kept it into one apartment. The guys also brought out a cat that was basically limp and barely breathing when they brought it out, and got resuscitated in the ambulance, and I believe is doing well, correct? I guess I didn't know on the cat, but
I don't know. They took the cat to the vet, but the cat was lifeless, and we put it on oxygen and started doing some stuff for it, and it was purring and
Wow.
a snake. We took a snake
and a
out
snake.
also.
the snake seemed to be not bothered by the fire for some reason. The other thing I want to say is that KinderCare in Weston, as I'm sure you know, is unoccupied and has been for a while. That has been a nuisance property with their fire alarm. We get a lot of false alarms there. I have to follow up with Marty, so the information I'm going to say right now is as of yesterday. We have not been able to get a hold of the building owner, and that fire suppression system is currently shut down because it's leaking everywhere. So that is a building we're going to have to work with
So
Roman.
it's sensing the alarms, or people are setting it off?
No, it's sensing it because
Okay.
they have the fire suppression system
So
in
the
there
pressure
is old. Yeah, they're losing pressure.
Losing pressure, then it sets the alarm. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So it's been, and it was even, we had a lot of false alarms there even when they were operating, but now that there's nobody there, it's gotten way worse. So as of right now, that suppression system is shut off. And
Way worse, how many times do you guys have to go out?
for a while, I would say for a period there, we were going there once or twice a week. Now, this actually was the first time we've probably been there in 90 days or so, I would
Where's
say.
the owner?
Probably.
Where's the owner, or where's your contact?
It's somebody out of Green Bay, and now we can't get a hold of them.
Okay.
So you
That's
call,
our problem.
No answer.
No answer, and they don't call back.
Is it a franchise KinderCare, or is it a corporate KinderCare?
I think, and don't quote me on this, but it sends us to some kind of a maintenance company that's supposed to be taking care of the building. And we can't get that individual to get back to us.
Yeah, property manager.
So,
Okay.
We're working through that right now. I know Marty was working on it, and I didn't get a chance today to follow up and see where he was at. But I don't like having a suppression system out of service. Technically, we can since the building is unoccupied, but it's certainly not ideal. So,
I mean, at least they could fence the whole thing or something, you know,
Yeah.
just to keep humans out of it.
Yeah, because I think there were kids in there messing around at one point.
there might have been.
Well, if they know it's vacant, and summer coming up, you never know.
That fire on Jelnik, I just want to say our initial crew that went in and knocked the fire down was an intern and a firefighter that was hired
One of the
January
three interns?
1st. One
Really?
of the 3 interns
Cool.
was on the nozzle, and going in with him was Mackenzie Walters, who we just hired full-time in January. And they saved that building.
Wow.
One of the 3 interns has had several
Yeah.
fires. He's
Yeah.
been getting all of them.
Good.
He has seen
And
more
that's working out
fire.
good in the building and everything, that's all working out?
Yeah,
No big issues? Okay.
there is. I've been working with Jamie and Roman about taking care of some mold remediation and stuff like that over there. In fact, K-Tech was there again today. There was some confusion there, but we got to get some leaks stopped, and then we're going to get that fixed. And
Okay.
So it's getting work done.
Good. Okay. Thank you both. Any remarks from anybody? Lisa? Al?
Nope.
Pete? Okay. None from me. We'll have on probably an agenda item just following through now in the union.
Yeah.
So we'll just
Yes.
have that closed session.
If there's nothing to add at the next meeting, I won't put it on.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, as soon as we have something to report
Updates or
back, we
something.
will.
Okay. All right, without anything further, motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Next meeting.
Next meeting, correct. Al usually remind me of that. About the next meeting. What are we looking for next meeting?
June
Yeah.
9th?
June 9th.
Yeah.
Are we doing 4 o'clocks now?
That kind of threw me a curve. I had in my head 5.
Yeah, can Colton not make 4 o'clock? Is that what he's done?
He's out of the country.
He's out. They're on vacation.
Oh, okay, good.
It's completely up to you guys what time we start at, if we want to push it to 5 o'clock or,
I like 5. I don't. I
5 will work.
Okay with you?
I'm okay with
You're
either
fine?
or.
I had it in
Let's
my
try
head.
5 on the 9th of June, okay? And you'll send out a notice, right?
I'll send it out tomorrow, yep.
Awesome sauce. Okay, motion to adjourn by Beck and seconded by Lanahan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Adjourned.